Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Taylor Way Open House. This is our first ever virtual virtual open house, and I think we're going to try and have a lot of fun. We're going to go over the project. We're going to answer as many questions as we have, and we're going to get started in about a minute. We're just going to wait a little bit until everybody can enter the room, and then we will get started. Hope everyone's doing well today. I hope you're all being safe out there and enjoying the low traffic volumes on the road. And it's not raining today, so it's really nice here anyway. My understanding is we have, I believe, almost 80 or so participants today. So I want to thank everybody for taking the time out of their day, out of their lunch to join us. This is a pretty big project for the city and a pretty big project for the community. So thank you again for that. Okay, well, I hope everybody's here. I think we're gonna get started. So again, this is a Taylor Way virtual pre-construction open house. It is being recorded and it will be posted on the Taylor Way website along with all the questions and answers that we'll be receiving and providing today. There may be some questions that we can't answer at this time or we don't have the right people here, and we will still get those questions and answers posted to the website probably sometime next week, along with the video as well. So with that being said, my name is Mark D'Andrea. I am the project manager for the City of Tacoma Public Works Department for the Taylor Way project. As we settle in, I want to go over some housekeeping issues as well as talk a little bit about this presentation today. I'm going to share some slides with you in a little bit on kind of the highlights of the Taylor Way project, including some of the larger construction aspects, some of the traffic control plans or detour routes, and some of the phasing that we have with the project. We have a number of experts with us who worked on various parts of the project, and they'll be able to answer some of your questions as well. We also have a second presentation today. We have Stephen Fox from the Department of Transportation. He is working on the SR 167 project, which will impact the 509 Taylor Way area eventually, and he will go over that with you. He's got a couple slides for that. And like I said, we do have other experts here on the line, and they may chime in as needed throughout to provide some additional information. So we're about to start the presentation, and before we do that, I want to let you know that all your audio and video feeds are muted. So if you want to submit a question, please do that through the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. We will see the questions. We have Tina Dunn from the Public Works Department. She's going to be working with us today, and she will be reading those questions as she receives them. And we'll try to get to those as we move through the presentation. If you called in and you're only listening on your phone, please feel free to go to the website and you can submit your questions that way. We won't be able to answer them today, but we will get to them and we will post them on the website with all the other questions we talk about today. And the Taylor Way website is cityoftacoma.org/TaylorWay. And there's my email, Mark D'Andrea, mdandrea@cityoftacoma.org. You can send those questions to me, or you can just call me. My number is 253-591-5518, and I will get your question and we will get it posted. So with that said, I'm going to attempt to share my screen. Like I said, this is all new for everybody. And we will start the Taylor Way portion of the presentation. And I'm looking to share my screen now, all these buttons at the bottom. Okay, I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna go here, and I have to share. And if this works, hey, look at that. Okay, I am going to open this up. Some of you may have seen some of this before. Some of these slides are on our website. There's a handout that can be downloaded from our website and has some of this information on it. Again, this is just going to be a really high level overview of the project. And I want you to know too, we will be updating the website as construction progresses with any big changes, kind of a status, probably a monthly status, and we'll be reaching out to the community as often as we can on that. Okay, the pre-construction virtual open house. Let's see, I can make, okay. So the goals of this overall big construction project, design project, was really, Taylor Way is a large, or is a busy port industrial route. It gets a lot of heavy truck traffic, and there's a lot of failing pavement along that route. So what we want to do, I don't know if you're familiar with other roads in the port, but we also did this with Port of Tacoma Road. We took out the failing pavement and we basically constructed a brand new concrete roadway. And that's essentially what we're going to do for Taylor Way. The project is going to run, well, I'll get to the length of the project in a minute. Other goals would be to reduce congestion at the 509 Taylor Way intersection. We're going to be doing that by adding some additional turn lanes, improving how the signal works, etc. Providing some pedestrian and bicycle access along the corridor. Those top three bullets are really designed to reduce freight delays along the corridor and personal vehicle access along the corridor. And of course, we're going to try and improve emergency response times along the corridor as well with a number of the components of the project. And I'll get to those in a minute. So the project itself, it basically runs from the Fife border, which is down in this area, kind of on the east. We'll just call 509 north-south for this presentation. So this is kind of on the east side, and then it's going to run all the way up to East 11th Street and Taylor Way, and actually continue to East 11th Street and Alexander in this area. The new concrete pavement is really just going to run from East 11th Street to 509, and it's going to include the 509 intersection. And then we'll have asphalt pavement, new asphalt pavement from the 509 intersection to the border with Fife. It also includes a number of utilities. We're going to upgrade some of the utilities in the area because they're well over 75 years old. We have a large water main. We have some sanitary work. We have some storm work. We're working with Pierce County to upgrade some of their facilities as well that run along this corridor. We're going to be upgrading some of the illumination. You can see there's 4 new traffic signals that we'll be installing, and we're going to interconnect those signals so they actually function a little better than they do now. We'll be putting cameras at all these intersections so we can not only watch traffic, but also keep an eye on pedestrians as far as their movement through the corridor. We're going to be installing a new sidewalk. It's going to be a 10-foot wide sort of combined path. It's going to run from 509 to Lincoln Avenue because really there's no sidewalk there now. There is an existing sidewalk from Lincoln to East 11th Street that we'll be tying into, and we'll be repairing some of the sections that are not ADA compliant. On a lot of the signal mast arms, you know, those arms that go over the road and the signals hang off, we'll be putting LED kind of blank out signs that will alert drivers whether that portion of the roadway is blocked and they should take a detour, or other messages as needed. The 509 intersection, one of the big aspects of this project is to widen that intersection and add additional turn lanes because of the delay that people are experiencing at this intersection. The delay is really due to not having the left turn capacity both towards Taylor Way and towards the city of Fife. The direction towards the city of Fife gets a lot more traffic, and it's kind of the #2 bottleneck in the Olympic region. So by widening the intersection, we can add a second left turn lane, And we can also lengthen the turn pockets so trucks can actually queue up in their proper lane. So the through traffic can actually move through the intersection a little bit better. And I'll have more information on that coming up here in a slide or two. So that's essentially the nature of the project. Project schedule, this started way back in really 2017, 2018, but 2018 we really started getting into our design. We went through environmental permitting, we went through our right-of-way phase, working with Department of Transportation and FHWA, as well as some of our other funding agencies, the Freight Mobility Group, and so on. We went through the bidding phase, and of course, this gap right here, this is when COVID hit us. So it took a little while to get us to where we are, but as you can see, we're about to start construction. Construction will start, we're looking at the last week in June. It may, and I don't think you'll see a lot of big construction during that time, but I think you'll see trucks starting to mobilize to the area. There's a lot of setup that needs to be completed for all the work that needs to occur. And then construction will eventually start. There will be electronic message boards out there letting you know construction is going to start soon. Those message boards will be in place about 7 days before construction starts, so it'll give everybody a heads up. And then the construction itself will take about 14 months. So if we start in say July, that would be end of September, possibly, by the time we're done. But again, this schedule really is based on, good weather. If we have a lot of bad weather and the contractor gets delayed a bit, the contract could run a little bit longer, but we will keep you up to date on that through our website. So some of the work, these are the various phases that we are proposing the contractor use for Taylor Way. And this is from 509 to Lincoln Avenue. And there's a lot going on here. And really the takeaway from this is there are 3 lanes out there now. There's 2 vehicle lanes, drive lanes, and there's 1 center turn lane. So the only way we could construct this project and still maintain vehicle and freight access to all the businesses is to build this section of roadway in thirds. So what's happening here is the railroad, if you're familiar with Taylor Way, we'll just say the railroad is on the north side here. We're going to start working on the south side, and we're going to move the traffic. So there's not going to be a left turn, there's not going to be a center turn lane anymore, but we're going to move the traffic to 2 lanes sort of on the right or on the north side of the road while we work on the left side of the road. That's stage 1. Stage 2, basically we're flipping everything over. So now we're working on the north side of the road, traffic moves to the south side of the road. Stage 3 is when we actually start doing more of the, oops, I'm sorry. Again, this is all kind of new. Stage 3 is, when we're starting to do more of the paving. We're going to actually separate the vehicles, put one on the north, one on the south sides of the road, and we're going to work in the middle. And stage 4 is when we kind of move everybody back to the north side and we construct our new 10-foot sidewalk. We finish all our utilities, put all the streetlights in, and finish the paving. That's how the SR 509 to Lincoln Avenue portion of Taylor Way is proposed to be completed. We have a lot of utilities to put in. A lot of those utilities will be put in probably during stage 1 and stage 2. So there'll be a lot of digging out there. You'll see a lot of soil being moved. And before you actually see pavement going down. So this is kind of before and after. It's very similar. What we have out there is we have very wide travel lanes right now. We have 16-foot wide travel lanes. And afterwards, because we're accommodating now this new 10-foot sidewalk, combined path sort of, the lanes are going to get a little smaller. So we're going to have about 13, 14-foot lanes for vehicle travel on each side with a center turn lane of about 11 feet in the middle. Okay, now we're talking about the section of Taylor Way, and I'll go back to the overall slide here in a minute so you can see, but this is a section of Taylor Way from Lincoln Avenue to East 11th. So if I go back here, I'm talking about this section of roadway now. That 3-lane, or that how we're building the road in thirds, that's going to occur between Lincoln Avenue and 509. That's the one we just spoke about. So now I'm going to talk about this section of road here between Lincoln Avenue and East 11th Street. This is a much more narrower section of road. There's basically 2 13-foot lanes, drive lanes without a center turn lane. So basically we're looking at doing it half at a time. And at some point we will be closing that section of road or portions of that section of road completely so we can finish the paving, finish all the utilities, finish getting the illumination in place, and repairing the sidewalk where it needs to be repaired for ADA purposes. This section of road it has an actual detour route, which is great. So Taylor Way, the 509 to Lincoln, that's the portion we're doing in thirds. There's really no good detour route for that. But this section has a great detour route. So as we work in here, you know, this might be one way for a while, and then we would direct traffic via Lincoln Avenue, Alexander, and East 11th again. And we could flop, you know, it might be one way east, then it might be one way west, and then we may close portions of it. And I'll get to when those closures will occur. I know that's on a lot of people's minds out there, so we have a slide coming up for that. So anyway, I guess what I'm just trying to say is there's much more flexibility in this portion of the roadway. And during all this, we will be reaching out to the businesses, we will be reaching out to the community, we'll be working with the city of Fife, we'll be working with the port, we'll be working with emergency access, of course. And I want you to know, even when sections of the roadway are closed, emergency access will still be maintained through the construction zone. Okay, now this is 509. This is a little more complicated. Because we are widening the intersection, it has to occur in phases because our goal is to maintain 2 lanes of traffic in each direction kind of at all times. And I shouldn't say at all times, at all of the peak periods of the day and during most of the workday. So, or during really all the work days, except weekends and nights. So, and I'll get to that in a minute too. But so the intersection, because it has to stay active, we're going to be basically building it in quarters. And this first phase is really a widening designed to allow us to have 2 lanes of traffic while we build those quarter sections of the intersection. So you can see here, there's still 2 lanes in each direction. The turn lanes are still there. We still have access both to 54th Avenue East and Taylor Way. These slides I'm showing you right now are going to occur over a weekend. So we expect this, or hoping this will occur over 1 weekend, this widening and paving. They'll be working 24 hours a day for the whole time. And stage 2, I can't really see my screen because the video's up, but stage 2 down here, I do have a handout. I can look at that while I'm talking. Sorry. Stage 2, it just is, again, more widening in preparation for the intersection work. And then we go into stage, what we're calling stage 3A, which is up here. And here we're going to be building out this quarter, 54th Avenue East and 509. And again, this is going to occur over a weekend. So during these weekend periods, traffic flow will be restricted on 509 in this area. So you're going to have 1 lane in each direction. Taylor Way is probably also going to be under construction. So, you know, there's going to be, we're going to be directing traffic to the lanes that are open because this section of Taylor Way is, again, we're building it in thirds. And then basically we just move through the intersection in the same manner. Um, this would be stage 3B, we're calling it. And again, now we're working on the other side, 54th Avenue East. And at this point, you can see a left turn on southbound 509 to 54th Avenue East is not permitted. We'll have a detour plan set up for that. But again, this is just for weekends. And for example, all these weekend events are from Saturday, 12 a.m. Or midnight, basically, to Monday morning, 5 a.m. We worked with the contracting community. Everybody thinks this is possible. If it's not possible, we'll certainly let you know through updates to our website and the trucking community. And then these are the final stages where, again, we're widening a little bit on the, would that be the west side of 509, in preparation to do stage 5A and 5B, which is the Taylor Way portions of the intersection. And again, this is all going to be in concrete. So the idea is for this roadway to hold up a long time after we're done and we don't have to get back here again. And I'm going to try and minimize this if I can. I don't know if I can get it back or not, but we'll see. And again, as we're going through this, please use your Q&A at the bottom of the screen and try and, if you're interested, submit questions to us. And did I lose my... Okay. Yeah, and please submit questions to us during this live event. Okay, so when I talk about widening the intersection, adding the turn lanes, there's a lot of stuff going on in all those phases that are going to occur over those 6 to 8 weekends over the life of the project. And keep in mind, that's about 14, 15 months project, 6 to 8 weekends. That is when this 509 intersection is going to be impacted. So I just want to show you, and I have a bigger version of this on the next screen, but this is a good before and after. You can see where the existing sidewalks are now. This sidewalk you see here, the kind of bright white, it's kind of way up here. So you can see how we're pushing this out to add this additional left turn lane onto Taylor Way and to add this additional left turn lane into the city of 54th Avenue East. And you can see kind of, whoops, well, here, let me go back here. You can see these dark bushes over here again. These are those same dark bushes, so our sidewalks, our ramps are all being pushed back. So there's going to be a lot of work occurring in this intersection. I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. And then here's a bigger, this one didn't, oh, there it is. Okay. So again, this is the before and this is the after. And I'll do it again, before, and just keep an eye on, this bottom part of the screen. You can really see the intersection pushing out and the after. And this again is to accommodate the additional left turn traffic we have. So basically, and we're going to lengthen these turn pockets too, because they're only about 300 feet now. We're going to put them closer. Well, we're going to make them as long as we can. Some are actually going up to 700 feet. Really, so we can get the trucks out of the through lanes. So there's enough room for them to back up. There's really never enough room, but we're going to do the best we can. So people can use the through lanes a little bit better. We are adding a dedicated right turn lane here as well to the city of Fife. And yeah, and I guess that is the big takeaway from the intersection. Now, the section of, one other highlight of the project is we're replacing 9 rail crossings. These are big jobs. They take about 3 days to do each one of them, and the road has to be closed at each one of those locations. So these, again, the rail crossings that occur from Lincoln Avenue to East 11th Street, they can occur because with a road closure, because we have this great detour here. This section is going to be a little bit harder, but we'll have a detour plan that I'll show you in a minute. These road closures at all these locations will occur from Saturday 12 a.m. to Tuesday 5 a.m. We will put up message boards, we'll let everybody know, there'll be email blasts, we'll put it on our website, etc. But these are critical components to the project. This would be the detour route. If we had to close a section of Taylor Way in this area, it'd be via Marine View Drive, East 11th Bridge, and back to Taylor Way here. Again, this is the detour when we're working on a rail replacement in this section. Again, it's Lincoln Avenue, Alexander to the 11th Street Bridge. And when we're doing, when we have to actually close 54th Avenue East, again, this will be on a weekend. So the detour route would be really via Alexander, Port of Tacoma Road, Pack Highway, etc., to get traffic to this intersection, and we'll be doing everything we can to make that happen. I get a lot of questions on when is the road going to be closed and when is 509 going to be closed? When are they going to take lanes? So as I said earlier, there's always going to be 2 lanes of traffic on 509 in each direction, which is basically what's there now, plus the turn lanes. So basically, since we're talking about 509, that would be this section down here. So this is an example of what we have in our specification now. It could change during the life of the project, and we would let you know that. But for example, for a contractor to take a lane or to close one of those 2 lanes, they could only close it between Monday 8 p.m. and they'd have to have it open at Tuesday at 6 a.m. So that's kind of how this works. These times vary based on the businesses and the haul routes and things like that in the area. And for that section of Taylor Way that does not have the detour from Lincoln to 509, these would be the times and days they would be able to close one of those 2 lanes that they're using for vehicle traffic. And again, a detour route would be set up. For example, it would be Monday at 6 p.m. to Tuesday 6 a.m. 6 a.m. it would have to be open. And again, the times here vary based on trucking schedules and things like that with the major freight users in that area. Again, this is an example. It could change throughout the life of the project, or if the contractor comes up with a better plan that can finish this job quicker. We're always open to those types of suggestions. So that is all for my presentation. I spoke a little longer than I needed to. I apologize for that, but at this point, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Steve Fox with the Washington State Department of Transportation. He is the project manager for the SR 167 project. Steve, if you will unmute yourself and share your screen, you can start your presentation at any time.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Let's see here if we can get the share screen to work. How's that coming through?
That's good to me.
Great. All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Steve Fox. I'm with the Department of Transportation, and I'm going to tell you a little bit today about our SR 167 completion project. So our first slide here is a regional map that shows the area all the way from Tacoma to Seattle, and it highlights the Puget Sound Gateway program. So, which is actually a project that has 2 projects within it. It has the SR 167 completion project, which I manage, and it also has our SR 509 completion project up in King County. And those 2 projects are shown on this graphic here with the orange dashed lines. So, and what we're trying to highlight with this graphic is, the real key benefits of the Puget Sound Gateway program, which is improving our connections to our ports. So whether that be the Port of Seattle, Port of Tacoma, and also to SeaTac. And so the yellow arrows here indicate, how goods and services come in via I-90 through Highway 18, using both the 405 corridor, the I-5 corridor, and Highway 167. And another thing I wanted to highlight is that we really have a great partnership that, of course, includes, the city of Tacoma and a lot of other partners up and down the corridor. We have what we call an executive committee and a steering committee, and that represent 25 different cities, counties, ports, and other agencies in both King and Pierce County. So also you can see in this graphic, if you can notice the different coloring, we've tried to identify some of our manufacturing and industrial centers that just really show you how critical it is to have good movement into and out of our ports to get to and from these manufacturing industrial centers and into our ports. So with that, let's dive into the 167 completion project itself. So this is probably the best graphic in the whole bunch to try to really understand the context of the 167 project. We are going to be building about 6 miles of new highway from Puyallup over near State Route 161, through the valley, up and over to Interstate 5, and then continue with a connection right down into this same general vicinity that Mark has been describing on 509. We're a little bit further west in the Alexander area, but we definitely are in the same vicinity as Taylor Way. Some key components of the project, we've actually broke it into 3 construction stages. So on the graphic, you will notice some orange color with stage 1A. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. And that's that builds the new 70th undercrossing over I-5. And then the blue color, we call our stage 1B, which will build from I-5 over to State Route 509. And then the purple or magenta color builds essentially from I-5 out to Puyallup, and we call that our stage 2 section. You'll also notice some other coloring on the graphic. The green shading, that is what we call our riparian restoration program, whereas on this graphic it says RRP, and that's the environmental component of our project, which will do a lot of improvements along Hylebos Creek and Surprise Lake tributary that comes down out of the Milton Edgewood area into the valley floor. You'll also notice on the graphic the dashed gray line, which is the approximate location of the planned route for Sound Transit's Tacoma Dome Link Extension project. And we are coordinating with them as well. And another thing to highlight is this graphic does show that these will be tolled corridors, and it shows the approximate location of the toll points, one on either side of I-5. At the bottom part of the graphic is the schedule for the project, and so we are nearly complete with our right-of-way acquisition. We're a little over 90% complete. I mentioned we're under construction with stage 1A. Stage 1B, we're right in the middle of our design effort right now, anticipating having a design builder on board in the fall of 2021, with construction beginning in early 2022. And then stage 2, we would begin the design effort later in next year and kick off the construction in 2024. And be complete by 2028. I do want to highlight that is our current schedule. However, that is subject to revision in light of some of the impacts from COVID-19 and how that we do have some funding shortfalls that are occurring. And so the legislature will be wrestling with whether or not they're going to have to delay our project as well as other projects to account for the funding. So moving on to the next slide. So this is a closer up view of the area that we're talking about today, which is between I-5 and 99, and you can actually see the Taylorway intersection here. So one thing this project will do is we will have an access point onto the highway at 54th Avenue. So if you happen to come through the Taylorway intersection and you're headed south on 54th towards I-5 and you wanted to get on 167 at that point, you would be able to get on it and head towards I-5 and either get on I-5 or continue going east towards Puyallup ultimately. Now granted, that won't be constructed till stage 2. Another thing that you might notice on this graphic is there's some small little lines that are shown paralleling the corridor, and I wanted to articulate that we will be building some shared use path as part of our project. So there'll be a connection with the interurban trail over on the south side of I-5 that will take you up and over I-5 to Highway 99, and then the shared use path for pedestrians will be basically paralleling the highway and all the way down to Alexander. So looking at stage 1A, if you've driven I-5 recently, you may have noticed just this last week that pile driving has begun on the north side of I-5 for the bridge that will be crossing over I-5 for the new 70th Avenue. So this graphic here shows the existing location of 70th Avenue, which is just a 2-lane bridge, and it shows the new roadway of 70th Avenue that'll go from 20th Street over to SR 99, and that'll be a 4-lane roadway section with a shared use path on the east side of the roadway. This also shows a new intersection with Highway 99. That will be a new roundabout that will be constructed a little bit to the south of the existing location on 99. And another thing to highlight on this graphic is the new interurban trail parking lot down here off of 20th Street. So that will be replacing the existing trailhead parking that is currently located off of 20th Street. This is just a closer zoom in of the roundabout, which shows how pedestrians will be accommodated through it, and all of the various geometry for that roundabout. A lot of design work has gone into the roundabout to ensure that it will function well and safely for truck traffic as well as pedestrians, and really looking forward to the improvement that it will bring to this area with being able to move vehicles through this intersection a lot more efficiently than the existing intersection. This is kind of zooming back out. This is to show our planned interchange of where the new highway will come in over the top of I-5. So I was just showing you where the new 70th Avenue location will be. And this shows what we call a DDI, which stands for Diverging Diamond Interchange, as we currently have it designed. Some of you may have heard about a Diverging Diamond Interchange that's being constructed down in Lacey in the Hawks Prairie area near Cabela's. That will be the first Diverging Diamond Interchange in Washington State. And this is our interchange here is expected to be the second Diverging Diamond Interchange in the state. And it's definitely a little bit different than what we're used to, but these have been constructed all over the United States. I want to say somewhere in the neighborhood of about 80 of these have been constructed throughout the US, and they're very efficient and very safe. Diving in a little bit closer as far as construction impacts. So this graphic is to really kind of highlight that there really won't be a lot of impacts to traffic while this project is being constructed. Most of the work is in this orange area, is kind of offline. So as you travel through the area and you're driving on 70th or 99, you're certainly going to see construction. And when you're on I-5, you're going to see construction. But a lot of the work will be done kind of offline. And then eventually there will be work that will have to impact traffic a little bit, but mostly during the night hours, where we will tie in the new roadway to the existing roadway. So typical work hours are Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. with some occasional night and weekend work. So what to expect? We will have some occasional flaggers on 70th Avenue and 20th to help get trucks in and out of the area, to get materials in and out of there, concrete trucks, etc. We will have to have a few periodic lane closures on Highway 99 between 62nd and 70th Avenue. We've already implemented a speed limit reduction in there, which will help with safety for the workers as well as those traveling that may be distracted by some of the activity that's occurring there around Highway 99. And we will ultimately have to do a full closure of I-5 late this summer when we go to set the new bridge girders over I-5, but that'll be done typically between the hours of midnight and 4 a.m. So most of us won't be affected by that, but when we come through the next day, we may notice that something looks different over I-5. So that really is my last slide. I guess I would just say that we've been coordinating closely with the City of Tacoma on this project, and just as well with the Taylorway project, and our schedules I think will align pretty well, and anyhow I think we're well coordinated. So with that, I will turn it back over to Mark.
Thank you, Stephen. I appreciate you taking the time to be with us today and share your plans for the SR 167 project for this area of Tacoma. We are running a little late. We have about 15 minutes or so for questions. I apologize for that because I did speak quite a bit, but I wanted to get a lot of ideas across, so hopefully that occurred. We're going to start our question and answer portion of the project right now, or of the virtual pre-construction open house. Tina will be reading some questions. We received a couple questions via email, so we'll start with those, and then we have a number of questions that people have sent in to us, which we'll try to get to before time runs out. And again, please use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. Just feel free to send us in questions, because even if we don't get to them, we will post them to our website and the answers. We'll try to get to as many as we can. We might not answer them in the detail you want, but I think it's more important to cover as many questions as we can for everybody. So with that being said, Tina, are you able to read a couple questions that we received via email?
I am. Thank you, Mark. Is everybody able to hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay. So first question we got, it's been clear for years this intersection needs an overpass, not a Band-Aid. Why are we not building this way now?
And that's a great question. First of all, an overpass would be considerably more money than this project, and it would take a lot longer to fund. But the real reason we are not doing it as part of this project is this project was really to reconstruct Taylor Way to heavy haul standards and upgrade the communication to fiber optics and things like that along the corridor, improve pedestrian access, vehicle access, and so on, and replace that failing pavement with concrete. As we were moving through our initial scoping of the project, we came across a bottleneck study by the Department of Transportation, and they reviewed this intersection and they looked at a number of alternatives, and they felt that adding the additional turn lanes would be sufficient at this time to, and I can share that bottleneck study with people if you're interested. And I don't want to put words in the Department of Transportation's mouth, but that was, I believe, the outcomes. It was a long time ago. So we worked with our funding partners to try and get some additional funds so we could expand that intersection, and that's how this project developed. It was never going to be an overpass project. I think it's a great idea for this intersection, maybe a number of intersections along 509 to get overpasses in. But again, that's not part of this project, but I completely understand. Okay.
Okay.
I also mentioned, I think I'm correct in
So I
saying.
see,
Hold on.
go ahead.
Once the
Sorry.
167 project's built, the amount of traffic that goes to this intersection actually comes down noticeably.
And that's correct. That was Scott Sawyer. He is our lead designer on the consultant side of the project, and he's absolutely right. Go ahead, Tina.
Okay, so the next question, I see a new long sidewalk is included in the project. How many pedestrians are projected annually to utilize such a wide walkway? And do you plan on bikes being able to use it as well?
Okay, so yes, there was no pedestrian route between SR 509, the sidewalks on 509 that lead into the city of Fife, 54th Avenue East, and Lincoln Avenue. There's a sidewalk that starts at Lincoln Avenue in Taylor Way, but you didn't have a sidewalk for that long stretch between Lincoln Avenue and 509. So it's always our goal, and it's always a requirement of the funding agencies to add sidewalks to projects and to add bike facilities when you can. So we were going to add a sidewalk, and we were looking at also adding bicycle lanes to the road from 509 to East 11th Street. There's just not enough room in our right-of-way to do all that. We would have to buy a tremendous amount of property to include bike lanes along that whole route. So what we did was built a wider sidewalk, shifted the road over a little bit at 509, and we were able to put a 10-foot sidewalk in from 509 to Lincoln Avenue, and that sidewalk can be used both for bikes and pedestrians. And I would say people will ask, well, why are you accommodating bikes in this area? Well, we try to accommodate bikes really everywhere we can. It is a very valid method of travel, and more so this route from the East 11th Street Bridge or the Hylebos Bridge to 509 was identified in our multimodal plan or our transportation master plan as an important bicycle connector in the city between Northeast Tacoma and 509 in downtown. So that's why we included bikes in here as well. Unfortunately, we could not accommodate bicycle lanes or a wider sidewalk in the section from East 11th Street to Lincoln Avenue, just because it's only a 26-foot wide road in that area. There's rail tracks on one side and buildings and private property on the other. So again, it would take a lot of funding to purchase all that property, but there's also a very less crowded route for bicycles using Lincoln Avenue to Alexander Avenue to East 11th Street over the bridge. And that's basically that detour that I showed you earlier in the slides. Any other questions, Gina?
Yes. How will construction crews address the COVID-19 social distancing work requirements?
That's a really good question. Obviously, we have to address that now before we start. And I'm going to turn that over to our construction supervisor, Mark Henry. Mark, if you would unmute yourself and talk about how we're accommodating that with our construction work in the city.
Yeah, great. Can you hear me, Mark?
I can.
Okay, fantastic. Great question. On this project, the city requires a site-specific safety and health plan. And within that plan, the contractor will address the COVID-19 pandemic and how they will maintain compliance, not only with the governor's orders, but with the Department of Labor and Industries. And we'll be monitoring those efforts throughout the course of the project. Because not only will the contractor be on site, but their subcontractors and city employees as well. And so all participants in the project will will have to recognize and maintain compliance with the contractor's site-specific safety and health plan. Thank you.
Okay, I appreciate that, Mark. Thank you very much. We do have some more email questions, but let's roll into the questions, Tina, maybe that we received while we're live here.
So we have quite a few, Mark. So I'm just going to jump right in. This one's kind of lengthy, so bear with me. Given that currently the average duration across the tide flats past the Port of Tacoma is 20 minutes during peak commute hours for either AM or PM, does the city have any indications of how much slower the commute from the northeast Tacoma Bluffs over to the Theophos Waterway Suspension Bridge will be at the point of project when the 4 lanes in both directions are restricted down to 1 each way?
So this would be occurring on the answer is no. I don't have that time because this would be occurring from midnight to, I think it was 5 or 6 a.m. Monday, midnight Saturday to 5 or 6 a.m. Monday morning. So we are avoiding the heavy haul trucking impacts, and we are avoiding the peak travel times during the week. It's a good question. It would be interesting to know, but unfortunately we can't build this intersection any other way. And having our staff and the contractor staff and paying for them to work 24 hours a day on weekends during these periods, even though it's the most expensive for us and for the community, it is the least impactful to the community. So that's why we're doing it. I don't have a time, but again, that's only going to be ideally for 6 to 8 weekends over the life of the project. So over the 14 to 15 month project. Okay, next question, Tina.
Okay, thank you. What measures have been taken in working with a variety of trucking companies who egress from I-5 into the truck staging area to reduce the impact on traffic of heavy loads at slow speeds during this project?
I don't know if I fully understand that question. I can tell you that we've reached out to and sat with 25 to, 30 or 40 trucking companies. We worked with the trucking community via the port. I went to a number of their meetings to present on this project and let them know what was happening. We will watch that, and we will also watch any truck parking along 509 during this time because it's going to be a very busy place. We'll work with the port on their staging area, make sure that is functioning. And again, there's going to be 2 lanes open and turn lanes open all the time on 509, except for those 6 to 8 weekends. So hopefully there'll still be a lot of orange around and the contractor can still work on the shoulders. And you will see them doing that. But the lanes will be open, traffic will slow, but we will just continue to work with all our partners and the city of Five to make sure that if something needs to change, it'll change during the life of the project. Okay, Tina.
Okay. So we have a number of remaining questions, and if everyone's all right going over, let's say 10 more minutes, I'd be happy to continue reading these. Are you good with that, Mark?
Yeah, I think it is, and from the rest of our staff here, it looks like that's okay with them too. So let's do about 10 more minutes, and we'll call it good.
All right. What is the contingency plan if the weekend work can't be completed on time? This is a 2-parter. And will the work resume the following weekend so you can maintain the 2-lane plus turn lanes on SR 509 on work days?
We spent a lot of time talking to contractors about this before we put this out, about whether they could do it or not, what type of concrete they would use, how would they marshal their forces, etc. And they felt they could do it. But yes, we could have cold weather. We could have unexpected rain at night. We could have a lot of things because they're going to be pouring concrete at night. Really, all the paving on this project is going to occur on night or weekends to keep all those lanes open on Taylor Way and 509. So we really need good weather. that is a possibility. It's an absolute possibility. It could happen anytime. No, it would not run into Monday morning, and I would do everything I could to avoid that. And it could go into the next weekend. I mean, it could start again the next weekend. Again, these are contingency plans that we need to work out with the contractor. We need to understand how they operate, how they're managing their forces, and all work together to minimize any impacts of 509.
Okay. Where will the traffic signal controllers at northeast corner of 509 be relocated prior to reconstructing that corner?
Yes, they will be relocated, and all that work has to occur. That's why I said the Department of Transportation has a large amount of right-of-way where all the kind of mounds are along 509 and the vegetation is. The contractor will be working in all that area. We have wetland work to do over there. We have controller work. We have a lot of signals. All the lights are being moved back. We have to maintain the same level of lighting during the project. So all that has to occur before we do the widening. So all that widening, like I said, that's 6 to 8 weekends, that paving over the life of the project. So they really have a lot of time before then to get all their kind of ducks in a row before they shut that intersection down to 1 lane in each direction.
And what is the estimated cure time of the concrete pavement prior to opening it back up to the traffic?
We looked at, I think all the way up to maybe 4-hour cure time for concrete. But Dan Ireland with SCJ, he was the one who really got out there and met with the trucking community and worked with the contractors and developed the traffic control plans with SCJ. And I'm going to turn this over to him. And if we don't have a lot of time, Dan, but if you could just touch on that.
Yeah, absolutely, Mark. Yeah, we are looking at some very quick setting concrete and cure time, up to the 4 hours. And there are some mixes that could set off a little bit quicker and support some of these vehicles. But that's why our stages are broken down to smaller areas, because we want to make sure that they're constructible and achievable in this short work window time. So we're working with the contractor. They may have their own ideas too, but these 4-hour mix designs where they have enough strength to support the local traffic are options that are in there for being able to make sure we can drive.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Tina?
Okay. So all 509 staging work will be contingent upon relocation of traffic signal heads. Is this relocation time considered in your schedule of closures?
Yes, it has. And I just want to say, we're going to have a temporary traffic signal out there when we're doing all this work on 509, especially as the lanes change. But I'll let Dan talk about again how it works when you're going from the temporary signal to the new signal, I guess. So I think that was the question.
Yeah, no problem. I think there's a little bit of an answer to one of the previous questions too with this. Is the first part of this project, 509, we actually impact the old controllers. So when we do that, we have to set up a temporary signal system that basically spans around the old one. And so we can tear down the old one, and the temporary signal system is on span wires. And those heads move around pretty efficiently because we leave slack in the rope and the cables. So we can move the heads back and forth, and it's a very short turnaround. It's a very adaptable system. So we're changing heads within the same night, within just an hour or two, to be able to switch from different traffic configurations. So it's very flexible, and that's what we need to be to make sure the project stays on schedule.
Right. And thank you, Dan. Thanks again, Dan. And what I would say too is that we have a Department of Transportation inspector who will be working with us very closely on this project because we are working in their right of way. And I just want to thank Department of Transportation for working with us so much on this project and getting us to this point. And he will be there for all the signal changes, all the lane changes, things like that. We have a lot of this in our plans and specs already, our contract documents. And really, if we change that, if we change our detour plans, if we change any of that, we have to run it through the Department of Transportation and get their approval because they're really interested in 509, that 509 continues to work efficiently. So we're working as a team and we want to make this happen as as safely and with as less impact as possible. Tina?
So Mark, I think you may have touched on this, both you and Dan, already a little bit, but this is maybe needing to elaborate. So this question is, have plans been worked out with either Fife City Police or WSB, Washington State Police, to deal with potential vehicle breakdowns causing clogs of single lane traffic in either direction?
That's a great question. I have not talked to anybody about vehicle breakdowns, and I'm going to have to follow up on that. I'm sure the Department of Transportation deals with it on their state routes all the time, especially in construction zones. I know they have their trouble trucks. We have our trouble trucks as well. So that will be one of the things we will address in this project before we get started. So thank you for that question.
And here's another one that I know we get concerns about often with our construction projects. Will we be able to access the driveways on north side of Taylor Way during construction?
Great question. Yes, we are not. We are trying to leave as much of the curb in place as we can on the north side. So only the driveways that are really close to 509 will we be reconstructing because we're going to widen the road a little bit there adjacent to the railroad tracks to accommodate all the the longer turn lanes on Taylor Way as well. But yes, whether we're working in residential streets, whether we're working in commercial areas in the port, we always work with business owners. In fact, Dan Ireland, who's on here before, has met with all those businesses that have driveways and multiple driveways on the north side. And we already have a plan with them as to what driveway can be closed when and what driveways need to be open when. But for the most part, every business, actually, I shouldn't say for the most part, in all cases, every business will have access to their driveway during the construction, during the paving, during all aspects of the project. So during those night activities, those paving activities, they may be a little harder to get, like at 2 or 3 in the morning too. But we'll have inspectors, we'll have multiple inspectors on site 24 hours a day. So we'll be able to work with you and the port and businesses to make that happen.
Okay, I think we might have time for 2 more here.
Okay.
Will full passage be open on the 11th Street Bridge between Marine View Drive and Pacific Avenue? Will the drawbridge be reopened?
Okay, could you, I'm going to look for that question. Oh, okay. Yes, the drawbridge is having some technical difficulties right now over the last couple of weeks, and we are working on that as we speak. The bridge will be opened. The bridge does go up and down a lot during the day. However, the bridge cannot take heavy haul vehicles or overweight vehicles, so those vehicles will still have to use Taylor Way. But yes, we are, trust me, because this is a peninsula and the only way onto the peninsula really is via 509 Taylor Way and the 11th Street Bridge, that is in the forefront of our brain and will be included in any contingency plan or any traffic control plan. The bridge still could be up, you know, depending on what the Coast Guard needs to get boats through, but there'll be plenty of signs, and we'll work with them on this as well.
Okay, so this last one, Mark, is kind of lengthy. So what is the anticipated impacts to traffic as a result of the 167 extension project when the traffic drops down onto SR 509 northbound near Alexander? There is frequently a tremendous backup leading up to Alexander, all the way back to Taylor, heading northbound on SR 509.
Well, I am Thank you, Tina, for that long question. I am not even going to attempt to answer that question. We have Steve Fox here from the Department of Transportation, and we also have, is he still here? I'm sorry. Is Richard with us still? Yes, Richard from DKS, our traffic consultant who did a lot of modeling and also worked with the modelers of the Department of Transportation for everything we're doing on our project at all our intersections. Maybe, Steve, is this something you can address? And if not, I can send it over to, or comment on, I can send it over to Richard.
Yes, can you hear me all right?
I can.
Yeah, so actually it's a very good question. We've had that question asked a few times, and I think Scott Sawyer might have hinted to the answer a little bit earlier in the presentation, that one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that when we make the new connection to State Route 509, a lot of traffic that currently utilizes 54th will utilize the new connection to Highway 509 and will not be driving on 54th. So, so for those, so what we're doing is a lot of the trips are going to shift that want to go into downtown Tacoma. They will not be going up 54th and utilizing the Taylorway intersection. So all of the modeling that we've done shows that there will actually be a reduction of traffic on 54th once our project is constructed and open to traffic. So it's a good question, but we're pretty confident that our numbers show actually reductions on 54th.
Okay. Richard, did you want to add anything to that?
Only thing I would add to that is that's correct. Our modeling shows that the trips along 54th, the local network, will decrease, and the 167 extension will be utilized, which creates a better operation of the intersection of Taylorway and 509.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up at that point. At this point, I would like to thank Tina for working with the community and answering all those questions. I would like to thank all our panelists for being here. Please keep in mind that you can continue to ask questions anytime during the project. You can send them to my email and I will direct them to the proper people. And that this, again, is being recorded. It will be posted to the website along with the Q&A. You can also call me if you have any questions. We will keep everybody updated on our progress. Like I said, the construction is expected to start, or at least they're expected to start moving stuff out there towards the end of June and possibly into July, and then construction will start after that full scale. So I just want to thank everybody again. I want to thank our funding partners, FHWA, the National Highway Freight Program, the FMCIB, Freight Mobility Strategic Investment Board, and I'm sorry, it's a little hard to speak at this point, and just everybody else who participated in this project. It's been a long time to get here, including all our team members. Thank you very much. And I'm going to close out right now and just say thank you and have a safe and great day. Okay, bye-bye.